Here's the Optiplex 9010. Pretty gross.
The Dell Optiplex is outdated.
I can upgrade them.
There will be haters.
Let them come. So here is my Dell Optiplex 9010 sleeper build, basically trying to make a gaming system out of what would otherwise look like just a boring old computer. And when I did this, I was inspired by some of the videos that I saw online once I got this up and running. This tower was actually free. And when I add up the costs, I don't want to put zero because that's kind of not fair. I mean, it's unlikely that you would get a free computer. So for estimation's sake, let's just say that this was $50. That's about what you would normally expect to pay for a Dell tower. This is a Core i7-3770, which is just about the max that you can get in this generation of Optiplex. So if you get a 3010 that has a Core i5 in it, you can put in a Core i7-3770. And I've always used Optiplexes, I think, for the past 2 or 3 years, just because they're cheap or near free. So let's take a look inside and see what we did here. Few mods. So let's say $50 for the computer itself. And the first thing I did was go out and look for a GPU. And I found this on offer for $50. This is a GTX 1060, 6GB. And that was a learning curve. I have not had a GPU in many years, so it took me a minute to get caught up on what's the latest and greatest. This is obviously not the latest and greatest, but I tried to not spend really much money on this, so that was a good deal. 50 bucks, probably worth 100. And then of course, in order to run the upgraded GPU, I wanted to upgrade the power supply. I actually had a 500 watt Thermaltake in here that I had on hand, but in the interest of trying to build what you would normally build, I bought new parts. Also, the 500 watt power supply was pretty loud, and I found that the Smart by Thermaltake was much quieter. And the reason why I did not buy the 500 watt Smart is because I wanted to see if the 430 watt would work just as well, and it does. The difference in price is $7, and I know that sounds not good, but if you don't need a 500 watt in this setup, why buy a 500 watt unless you want to just maybe use it for later. So almost everybody buys the Smart 500. I just did that as an experiment. So that power supply was loud. I had SSDs here. I just took them out because I'm going to move them here. But so, you know, typical SSD upgrade. I already had an SSD, so I am not sure how to cost that. I would say probably $30 for an SSD. I actually have two. I have one for booting and one for games, but in a normal circumstance. So that's, let's say $30. So let's say you bought this. You have $50 for the computer, $50 for a GPU, and $30 here. So we're at $130. Now I went a bit further. This is just for my own personal reasons. I wanted to make the computer as quiet as possible. So I bought these. There's Bequiet 92mm fan. This fits right in the stock spot on these bigger cases. And there's an adapter here to go to the Dell proprietary connection. So that's 10, that's 5, that's 15. Most people don't do this, but the difference in noise is amazing. And this thing, I really want to get these cables kind of tucked out of the way here. It's kind of loosey-goosey right now. So I bought another 92 because I watched a video where somebody put a 92 millimeter on their CPU fan, but this is obviously way too big. The guy, he cut the fan out of the shroud and just put it right on the heatsink. So I didn't really want to break this fan. So what I did was I just put it on top of the stock shroud. So this is 92, but you're supposed to buy an 80 millimeter here. So probably nobody would do this. Just go ahead and buy the 80 and just put it on directly and be fine with that. And then there's another adapter for this one here. And then this graphics card gets extremely loud when it's under stress or high load for games. So I actually put a Bequiet fan here inside the shroud, and there's another video about that you can see in the link below. But what ends up happening is, even if you don't change this fan right here, this particular model has a silent mode, and it will be off when you're not using games or anything. So between this, and this, when you turn it on, you can't hear anything. It's 100% quiet. You'd have to really zoom in there to see. And hopefully in another video I'll show that. I had a video of it. The only thing you can hear is this. The PSU has to turn a little bit when it's on, so you can kind of hear something, but compared to what it was before, it's a very large difference. Also, in fairness, the fans that were on here were really old, and this entire computer was covered in crud and dust, which I'll show in another section between this. This whole computer was just, I mean, all the ports in the back were blocked. The front, the power supply, intake screen, you know, the one that would normally be here, was 100% covered in dust. I'm surprised this motherboard actually works at all, but it does. I did change the thermal paste also underneath. So that's what we've done. So this is, we were at what? 100, 50, 50, 130, 33, so that's 180. Let's say $30 for that. That's 210. And then this would normally be $30, I believe, for all four to get up to 16. I happen to have these laying around in another computer, so I just put them in, so I didn't pay for these. But let's say $30. So we're getting up there. I was really trying to make this just be $200, which you could if you didn't bother with these fans and you bought cheaper memory. This could be a $200 gaming PC. The issue I ran into here is that this particular card, because of this plastic here, the stock holder that comes down would not fit. I cut half of it off to make it fit, but it's not on there right now, but it's still kind of not good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put screws here and just go directly, and then these back plates will be put back on. But that's the build. I think it's pretty much done. I'm not going to, some people take this cage out and then put a big fan right here. I don't want to do that because that will be loud. And I'm not really doing too much to it. I wanted to do basically a bolt-on setup. This is basically version 1. I'll do another more extreme one next time with the next build. But so there's no modifications to the case. If I wanted to sell this, I could put the stock fans back in. I could take this out, put in the stock hard drive, put in the stock power supply, and sell it. And that's the point of this. I probably will not keep this, but there it is. So the next step, I think I'm just going to clean this up. I'm going to actually remove the extra connections that I don't need. Put the SATA drive here. I'm keeping the optical drive just for fun because it makes it look more classic. And that'll be it. That'll be the end of the build. So we'll do a follow-up later once I get all this jankiness. I was not using it like this, by the way. I just took that off, so that will be secure. Okay, thanks for watching version 1 Optiplex sleeper mode, or what I call Optiplex Prime. Look, just looks like an average computer. All right, we'll see you in the next one.